Hello. These are yarn bowls, one of the very few things that we make that aren't food oriented. So they start out as 2 3/4 pounds of clay, and they're kind of tricky to make because you have to cut the rim of the bowl and the side of the bowl, and if you don't wait until just the right moment, the right dryness, it's very difficult. So you see me here centering. I'm taking my time with this so you can see me moving the clay around. Okay, here goes the opening. Now we're going to spread that top out. I kind of like to open right into a bowl shape and then get right into lifting up that wall. I love that we can get this much out of just one pull. All right, we got to do a little more systematic expansion and rounding out of the bowl. These are thrown to about 7.5 inches. It varies a little bit, but it's big enough for a good ball of yarn. You see me here adjusting my throwing gauge. This is the first one, and I'm going to make a bunch more, so I'm going to make them all the same size if I can. Of course, there's slight variations because I'm just not a machine, but I try really hard. Now you see me here shaping the outside with the flexible metal rib and making sure I have a bit of a rim up there to hold everything with good tension and make sure it's smooth. Now we're going to go in and round out that inside, scrape all that extra moisture off with the rib. The drier the clay is, the less it'll slump. So there's a little messing around of fixing little details and trying to get it just so that happens. But it's coming along pretty nice. Okay, so now there's a little bit of clay at the bottom to trim off, and I like to do that with a little clay knife. Scrape all that stuff up and get it set to the sides to be recycled. And it's coming along pretty nice. This looks good. Just a little bit more shaping right here. So satisfying to watch all that slip and clay get scraped away, leaving that nice clean surface. You see I can use in between my fingers as a chamois to smooth the rim instead of having a piece that I will inevitably get lost in my reclaim. Okay, here we go, cutting it off. It is looking good. And I'm going to use a single pot lifter and my fingers on the other side. I always dip in water first, get it under there. See, it pretty well holds its shape, and that's great. It's exactly what we need. All right, so there's the bunch of them, and I've trimmed them now, and it's time to start doing the cutting. Now I have a special tool that I bought from Etsy. Somebody 3D printed these little spirals, which makes it so much easier to cut. So I press it in, make a good impression, then get a good sharp X-Acto knife, and I go through and very carefully cut that spiral out. Now this is where it's really important. This has got to be stiff. If it is not stiff enough to hold its own weight, don't cut. Just really take your time with this. Let them sit until the rims are stiff, then turn them over and let the bottoms and sides stiffen up a little bit. Then do your trimming and then get right into cutting. But don't do it too early. It's really important that is at just the right dryness. Alright, I've just about got this worked out. There's lots of little detail cuts. I wish I had a kind of a smoother way of approaching this, but this is the best that I can do. But you can see that it's going to pop right out of there. It's already lifted a little bit now. Just got to get a hold of it and lever it out. I'd like it to be a little stiffer than it is right now, but it's okay. It really didn't move very much. But that cutting does leave a rough edge. So I got to leave this stiffen up, and we'll smooth it out later. Okay, now I put some holes in. This is, essentially for people who just want to have a single ball of yarn. They don't need to change it out. And they're decorative at the same time. So useful and decorative, and I like that. All right, here we go with the cleaning. They've sat up a little bit. I'm going to take a wet sponge and just run it all over the edges. And then we'll flip it over and get to the inside and wipe down each of those holes, kind of force the sponge into them a little bit while supporting the sides, and get the edge smoothed down so it doesn't leave something sharp enough to cut yarn. And it really goes pretty quickly. I can't complain about how well this cleaned up. Every batch I lose one or two, and this batch I don't think I lost any. There's always time while we do the glazing though. All right.